Feeling powerless during times of war. And we're going to talk about how we as a community can come together during these times. And I don't know about you guys, it's exhausting. So let's talk about how we can help move through that. All right, Mita, how does everything look on your end?
Looks great. And now we are also live on Instagram.
Uh,
Welcome, everyone.
hello, hello, Community for International Arab. Before we get started, I just want to thank everybody for all your support for everything we do here. It's what keeps us going. So every time you watch a video or I don't know, what is all the stuff on social media that keeps us relevant? All the likes, all the comments, it's what keeps us going as a community. And we really, really appreciate it. We have grown so much. Mira, how much have we grown as a community since we started a year and a half ago?
Oh my,
Organically grown.
yes, yes. It's been amazing. We started doing lives. We only had like a few people, two or three, maybe five people joining, and now look at us. Every week we have thousands of people watching and healing, and it's amazing. I really love this community so much.
I do too. This community, actually, I could tell a little story before we get started. This community grew out of my own powerlessness as a Palestinian American watching, well, my whole life, watching what was unfolding back home for Palestine. And October 7th, I mean, always advocating, protesting, doing all the things my whole life. Yet it was that powerlessness that I felt. Uh, what could I possibly do? And this community grew from that powerlessness. It pushed me out of my comfort zone. This is something I've been wanting to do for decades. And it was in that powerlessness of all the events that were happening and continue to happen back home that I said, okay, what can I do within my power to be able to help? And here we are, a year and a half later. Um, and it helps. It really does. When you're giving of service to others in the way that you can, it does help with that feeling of powerlessness. All right. It is 8 a.m. here in Los Angeles. Welcome, everybody, wherever you are in the world. Today, we're going to talk about feeling powerless during times of war. So, for those that are coming on, let's see where everybody is coming in from. We wanted to honor all the Arab countries, everyone that's in the diaspora. The goal of this live is psychological safety, respect, and thoughtful engagement. With that said, before we begin, I wanted to offer a few intentions before we engage in this conversation. Number one, this is a space for respectful dialogue, reflection, and collective healing. All of us are here. If you're called to be on this live, there's a part of you that is seeking community and wants healing. That's what this space is about. Many in our communities carry deep emotions of what's happening in our Arab countries, of course. And so please speak with care and compassion. With that said, we have a few guidelines. Speak from your own experience rather than attacking others. In fact, if there's any attacking of others, you will be blocked and deleted immediately. So don't try me. Really, don't try me. Respect people from different perspectives, different backgrounds. And if you can't do that, we're just going to delete you and block you. Mira, you ready?
Oh yeah, I
We're
am.
ready. Okay.
Yes.
We also want a space to listen and understand and not just respond. Okay. Now, the goal of the conversation, let me be clear. The goal of the conversation is not to debate politics. The goal is to support each other and reflect together and strengthen our community during these difficult times. So, any political debate, our African brothers and sisters, you are absolutely allowed to stay and listen. And thank you for joining. Thank you for being a part of this community. Ahlan wa sahlan. Min ayuna ala rasna. We would love to have you. Okay? So, where was I? Many people in this conversation also may have personal connections to the conflict, to displacement or loss. And so we want to see you and we honor you. And that's, I think, are those all the guidelines I wanted to go over? No debates. None.
Yes.
None. We can't even agree on who pays for the bill, and we want to debate politics. Not here. Okay?
Yes.
All right, Mira, any yellow news before we get started?
Oh, yeah, we have some yellow news. So before I begin, hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Mira. For anyone that doesn't know me, I'm joining you today from Egypt, and I'm always here to help and support you in any way I can. And before we begin, I have some yellow news I'd like to share with you. So the first thing is, if you're looking for extra support, you're always welcome to check our website. Now we have consultations live on the website, so you can just go to the link in bio, and you'll be able to choose the time that works best for you. The second thing, Tiffany hosts an LGBT support group every Tuesday at 9 a.m. Pacific time, and we're really happy to share that the group is growing. Right? Yeah, it's been amazing. It's been growing. We're really happy to share that with you. So if you feel like you need this support, you need the connection, you need to find community, please go to the link also in the link tree in the bio, and you'll be able to book your support group. And yeah, just to make sure, again, please, no political discussions, no graphic details, no taking sides or attacking others. Our goal is respectful engagement, and thank you all for being here and helping us create a safe and supportive space.
Thank you, Mira. You're amazing.
Thank you.
So let's see, where are people coming in from? We've got Nomka from, I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, from Qatar. We've got Arwasha Kareen. I'm so sorry if I'm mispronouncing the names, from Jordan, living in Texas. We've got Safwat Nubia. Hello, from Nubia in southern Egypt, currently living for Kuwait. Okay, well, thank you, everyone. Where else are people coming in from? By the way, a rocket in Dubai means a hot lady. Oh, God. Okay, remind me not to read the comments.
Yeah.
Okay, Algeria. All right, welcome, welcome. We have Palestiniya from Missouri. Welcome, welcome. Hi, Sareen. We've got the Rebel from Algeria. Let's see. And we've got Kenya currently in Saudi. Egypt's in the house. We've got Somalia. All right. Welcome, everybody. Sudan, our brothers and sisters from Sudan, Sardiya, Iraq, Sudan. Welcome, everybody. Tunisia. All right. Dubai. Oh, this is so cool, isn't it? Do you see? Our community is from all over.
All over.
Let us sit in the power of that. Yes, of course, Birdie Pete. Of course, that's okay. Ahlan wa sahlan. I'm getting a little emotional. This was a very hard live for me to do. It took me many iterations to say, what do I want to impart around these feelings of powerlessness during times of war? And many of us are watching our homeland suffer. Some are even there. Some are in the diaspora. All of us, my senses, were feeling something of anger, grief, guilt, fear, numbness, and whatever it is that you're feeling. Powerlessness may be the central wound. And so for those that are on the live and watching, maybe type one word in the comments that describes what you've been feeling about what's been happening. If you can just type in one word in the comments that describes what you've been feeling as we're watching things unfold. Thank you. Uncertainty. Mira hada put something fil Arabi. Can you read that? Anxiety attacks, anxious, greed for power, disappointment, unfair, resilience, grief. Thank you, everybody.
In Arabic, they said, I love you.
Oh,
We love you.
oh, I love you too. Grief. For me, I tend to default to anger. So I've been feeling very angry, despair. Yes. Anger, grief. Yep. Feeling unsafe. That's right. Now, confusion. Yes. Yes. I'm sad for the innocent children. Oh my gosh, it's devastating. We as human beings were not meant to watch things in real time. And yet this is what we're doing. So I want to normalize your sadness, your confusion, because this psychological response, this fear, losing a loved one, all of these things you guys are so graciously and courageously putting out there. Let me explain very clearly what you're feeling is normal. War exposure, even through a screen, activates hypervigilance, anxiety, survivor's guilt, rage, helplessness, emotional shutdown. Our nervous systems do not know the difference between watching trauma live and experiencing threat. This is not weakness, it is biology. So let's do a little bit of an internal awareness exercise. You guys named your feelings, all valid. What has changed in your body since you've started watching more war content? What have you noticed in your body? Because there's the mind-body connection, the more awareness you can have around your bodily sensations. I know for myself, I was feeling less sleep. Thank you. I think someone had to less sleep. Yes, I was also not sleeping. I was emotionally eating. I noticed I was grabbing the snacks more. Heck, that netivis eating that sometimes we do.
In Arabic, someone wrote Arwa wrote powerlessness.
That's right. But how does that work in your body? Unable to operate at work normally? Yeah. So decrease in productivity, lack of sleep, increase in eating, maybe decrease in eating. Oriental Fog wrote exhaustion. That's right. So you may feel more fatigue. So the more you can connect with these bodily, yes, lack of focus, very, very good. So once you recognize that those are your bodily sensations, you may want to be able to say, okay, in this moment, what do I need to do to take care of myself? It could be as simple as drinking a cup of water. Let's see. Like my body's crying for me to connect to my soul as this earthly life seems less and less predictable. So that's a great segue. Thank you, Mace. So there are 3 types of powerlessness, and I want you to think about for you where you may be lying in this powerlessness. Number 1, physical powerlessness. You cannot physically stop what's happening. Many of us feel that way. Okay. Number 2, political powerlessness. You feel unheard or unseen globally. Now, self-disclosure, here in the US, my goodness, talk about political powerlessness, especially as we've been, as a Palestinian, advocating my whole life, not being seen, not being heard. On a positive note, never in my lifetime did I ever think in this country, in the United States, we would see the amount of support for the Palestinian. Never in my life growing up. So while we may feel politically powerless because they see Arab, they objectify Arab, at least here in the United States, they don't see us as human beings. They completely dehumanize us to the point where it's like, let's just keep bombing and bombing and bombing as if no human beings are there. This is the daraja where we've become. The third, at least here in the US, the third is emotional powerlessness, where you don't know what to do with your grief. Now, we talk many times within our cultural context where there's a lot of emotional suppression. And so what do you do with this grief? So it's important for me to help each and every one of you distinguish powerlessness does not equate uselessness. Okay, do you guys hear that? We may feel powerless, whether it's physical, political, or emotional, yet that does not mean we are useless. Do you guys hear that? Now, which type hits you the hardest right now? How many of you are experiencing physical powerlessness or political? Where are you guys at with the powerlessness? Nobody has any thoughts on which powerlessness they may be struggling with? I know for me, it's probably all three at some point. It's more mental, most of it. Thank you. Yeah, more emotional, depending on where you are in the world. And it's interesting that if people don't have thoughts or feelings, let's see. We will talk about that. So if you're having trouble identifying what powerlessness you may be feeling, that's okay. Just know that there are different types of powerlessness, and for you to understand, yeah, most of us, I would say, are all of the above. Now, with that said, many Arab right now, we're carrying multiple layers of exhaustion at once. It is so important for each and every one of you to understand that some of it is political, cultural, psychological, and some deeply personal. So within our cultural context, it's important to understand that not only are we dealing with exhaustion from maybe our family dynamics, exhaustion from our community dynamics. Now you're going to add societal dynamics. Now you're going to add, if you're living in the diaspora, those dynamics of, then you add, okay, maybe you're living a double life. Let's add that dynamic. And then politically, we're dealing with constant war. And think about how exhausting that is. Now, this fatigue is warranted. I don't want anybody on this platform to minimize how exhausting it is to be Arab. It's exhausting. We talk about how wonderful, how strength, how strong, how resilient, yet can we also acknowledge the collective grief that Mira, we were talking about it earlier before the live.
Yeah.
25 years old, and we talked about that. Have you ever known a life where there hasn't been war in the Middle East?
No, I've always heard about it.
That's right. So for those of you that are in your 20s, think about it. You have a life where there has not been any peace in Arab countries for lots of reasons. So your whole life, you only know war. You only know war. So when you think about the exhaustion, the collective grief, there's reasons for that. Because many Arab communities, whether you're abroad or in your home countries, there's continuous cycles of conflict, displacement, and loss across multiple generations. Palestine, Syria, Iraq, Lebanon, Yemen, Sudan. The list goes on. And even when someone is geographically safe, because those of us out here especially in the US, emotionally, the field remains very heavy. Because we're an indigenous people, we are all connected we are all one tree. All of us, no matter where you are in the Arab world, no matter where you are in the world, we are all one tree, connected by the roots. Because as indigenous people, these roots, we draw energy from each other. We support we are all connected. So when something happens in your home country and you're going to feel it, and you're going to feel it deeply, because we are connected. When you see starving people and what's happening for Sudan, you feel it deeply, because we are all connected. And I think we've lost sight of that. Okay. So you may feel grief for people you have never met, helplessness watching suffering unfold day after day after day, survivor's guilt for having safety when others do not, and that the sense that tragedy never fully pauses long enough to process it. Think about that. When we have so much emotional suppression, what spaces do we have to slow us down, like right now, and go, can we wrap our minds around everything that's happening? It is so heavy. Yet we don't even take a minute to psychologically acknowledge that this chronic collective mourning is not a single event you move past. It is chronic, and it feels endless. Let's sit with that for a minute. And if you're uncomfortable, that's okay. Sit with the discomfort. What grief am I carrying that I've never allowed to name myself? Is it the uncle that was lost, or the cousin that died, or the grandfather that became ill as a result of displacement? What grief are you carrying that you were never allowed to name? Okay. What events affect you personally versus those that you feel responsible to carry for others? And where do you allow yourself permission to grieve? We have so much loss within our cultural context on many, many levels. And where do you allow yourself permission to grieve? Because how many times have you guys heard, we're okay? What other things do we hear? to minimize. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, never. And yet this collective, we're all in a collective mourning. Okay, we're all in a collective mourning. And so I'd like you to think about that for yourself. Can you allow yourself to feel all of these things? And it may not feel safe to. However, I will encourage you to feel your feelings. That's our only way to move through this. The West doesn't care about our feelings. Many of the governments don't care about our feelings, but can we care about our feelings? Can we finally give ourselves permission to feel? Now, I don't know about you guys. As a clinician, I'm tired. I'm tired of the dehumanization of our people. And yet, how can we expect them to see us when we don't see ourselves? The more we're able to see ourselves and say, I'm angry, I'm sad. You guys have been plummeting our countries for our whole lives. And we're just supposed to sit there and go, oh, I'll tell you, let's be the model minority. It's not just America. It's not just America. It's not just America. It's easy to blame the United States, of course. It's very easy. Yet America has been allowed to do all these things. Okay? So this is not an East versus West thing. I'm tired of people digressing this conversation to an East versus West thing that's very base. You can say that it all leads to America. Sure, you could say that. So that powerless comes from giving people power. Who gives them that power? Okay. But we're digressing because I don't want to engage in comments because we're moving off topic. One of the things that for those particularly living in the diaspora is the weight of representation. Now, what does that mean? Many Arab feel that they must constantly explain themselves. We have to defend our humanity or correct misinformation. How many of you felt like that? If you're living in the diaspora, constantly explaining yourself. Okay, no, we're good people. Hey, Yuna, let me try and explain to you the history, the long history of, our people. Okay. How many of you have these experiences where you feel like you must represent an entire culture? Okay. How many of you have felt that way? Being asked to justify political events you didn't create. Watching your identity reduced to headlines or stereotypes. Did any of you guys feel this way? This produces a concept that psychologists call identity fatigue. And so you're not just living your life, you're managing how the world perceives your existence. So where do you feel pressure in that? Does this happen in countries outside those that are living in their home countries? Does this manifest this identity fatigue?
Can you explain again what it means?
Yeah. It's where you constantly have to explain yourself, defend your humanity, or correct misinformation. Is this just those of us living in the diaspora?
Yeah, I don't think it applies here that people need to defend themselves. So,
but do people have to defend? Okay, well, that's good to know. So sorry for those that are living abroad. This is primarily something that may occur living living in the diaspora. You know what's interesting? I want to stop for a minute. Why do you think people get so triggered with these conversations?
I'm thinking the same thing. Like, I think because they're so like they can't do anything about it, maybe.
So when people feel powerless, they lash out at
Maybe,
those that
but
are trying to empower others.
yeah.
So they're going to try and put me down and put down what we're trying to do here as a community because they feel so powerless.
Yes.
Mhm.
And they will just keep being hyper vigilant, like you always say, just scrolling, trying to know what's happening, and they're not stopping to look at what you just said, that this is a chronic thing. They're not stopping to look and be aware and think about it, and think about how this has been a reality that we've been living in for a long time. Yeah, they just feel powerless, I think. What do you think?
That's right. Because when people live in fear, they're going to lash out. When you stand in your truth, no one can shake you. And that's where I'm trying to impart upon all of you here, is that when we stand as a community together in our truth, that we seek peace, a way to live. Why would that be a problem for people? Okay. Any questions? I'm getting tired because the comments are so annoying. God, human beings. You know, sometimes when you feel so powerless, you lose hope in humanity, and just do social media lives for as long as we have. You either love humanity or you're like, oh my gosh, let's just start over. Sorry, I'm getting punchy. Let's go to the comments. Okay, where is everybody at? So for those that are joining the live new, we are talking about feeling powerless during times of war. And we were speaking about this collective chronic mourning. And what do we do with this collective grief that never fully closes? And the weight of representation and living between two worlds. This is for many Arab living in the diaspora, this constant in-between state, this cultural split of identity stress. And many of you are holding multiple identities simultaneously. And that could really lead to moral fatigue. There's so much deep frustration around these global double standards around human suffering. All right. How many of you are morally fatigued around seeing these double standards? I know I am. All right, where are we? Mira, read out the comments. I'm kind of getting a little tired.
Yes, sure. So we have someone said, it's Samsun, I think. They said because maybe we got broken families and problems in the community outside. Not sure what they meant.
If I understood what Samson was trying to say, is that we weren't doing well before all this. The emotional suppression, the lack of emotional language, no space to talk about these things. And then we wonder why the younger generation is pushing back on the older generation, saying, we need help. We need to be able to process these things. Thank you, younger generation, because we have gone so far on this side of the pendulum of not acknowledging our feelings that the younger generation is saying, we're maxed out. We've been in war our whole life. We see war within our own families. Nobody's talking about anything. No one is acknowledging everything. I'm watching the media have selective empathy. I'm completely emotionally burnt out at the injustice that I'm watching, not only externally, the injustice I may be feeling being discriminated against in school, or the injustice I'm feeling in my own home around people trying to control my autonomy and who I want to be. And then you wonder why you feel despondent, you feel depressed when we're watching it all over. And then, for going back to the Samson's point, that many of our families, the fatigue may be even in your own homes about not even being acknowledged, your feelings being completely negated and suppressed. And then every day you got to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Every day you got to put on a smile and keep going. And that truth and fairness are constantly being distorted. I always tell people the danger here is not the anger. So if you're feeling angry or whatever it is that most Arab that I see have some either they're feisty and they feel the anger, and that's me. You got to learn to tone it down. Those don't even connect with their anger enough. But what happens is the more we disconnect, we lose hope in humanity altogether. We lose hope in humanity altogether. Okay? Are you reading the comments, Mira?
Yes, but there's no questions, just like Planet Forward said, even in Egypt, everything seems safe, but I always feel like we're next. A couple of comments are talking about an anxiety, like just an anxiety around seeing these things happen. So even if you're safe, you still feel anxious.
Of course, because what you're talking about is that uncertainty. I think somebody spoke about that before, that generational trauma. Okay? That unprocessed historical trauma of war, migration, colonial histories, exile. And it's shaped in our family systems, like I was saying earlier, about emotional suppression, survival mentality, hyper responsibility, and fear of instability. So what you're speaking to is very much associated with generational trauma. And what do we do with that? And that's where the younger Arab today of the generation is saying, can we name these patterns? Can we heal from them? And I'm here to say yes, because it's in the healing of that work, even though it's exhausting. On the other side of that, just like this community, it's transformative. Okay, it's transformative. All right, so one truth that I'm going to offer, and you guys comment if you think this is not true, but being Arab today feels so heavy because not only are we carrying our histories, all the political upheaval, grief, and identity all at the same time. What I try and impart on Western therapists is all of this, that your platitudes or your ways of, well, self-care. Yeah, okay, in theory, self-care feels wonderful. It's great. Yes, we need to do that. And acknowledging how hard it is. We're bombarded every single day. Okay. Now, on the other side of that heaviness is equally real. And I think somebody asked, transformative how? Because as an Arab culture, one of our greatest strengths is our creativity, our poetry, philosophy, hospitality, spiritual depth for thousands of years. And I think we forget that. I know we're tired of being resilient. I understand that we are exhausted. And this exhaustion is not weakness, it can mobilize us to change. Okay. I know the exhaustion that I was feeling mobilized me to say, what can I do as a clinician to help my community? What can you do within your own way? And sometimes you healing yourself, you healing those wounds, you healing those triggers can transform your family. It can be an inspiration. What do they say? Each one teach one. And so maybe within your own powerlessness, you move to a place of, I can empower myself by healing. And so the only thing I can offer here is what part of this pain is yours. And you can do something about that. You want to process this grief. We don't want to keep storing it. And you process it by writing about what hurts, talking with trusted community members, whether prayer or spiritual reflection, if that's what you're calling, or creative expression. How do you want to release it from your body that's so anxious? Where is it going to go? Grief needs movement, not suppression. And what emotions am I avoiding because they feel too heavy? Yeah, we live with it, but can we transform it? And I've seen it in my own practice as a clinician of 20 plus years. I've seen grief, displacement, people living so many challenging lives transform it. I've seen it. I've witnessed it. Because when you heal those wounds and you start to empower yourself, you start to stand for what you believe in. And it takes a while. And, sometimes, we're not very patient, right? Or maybe we're too patient. Our frustration tolerance is so high. We're this culture of dichotomy, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Where are we at?
I think I have a question. We have a few questions about if you offer online therapy sessions. Yes, Tiffany does. They're in the link in bio. But just to go back to the topic, I do have a question, and maybe what we're trying to talk about today in the live feels like heavy or feels like a lot because no one talks about these things, so no one understands what we're saying. People are like, we just live with it, or because no one took the time to really think about it and think about how much it impacts us. So to make it a little simpler, we also had a question asking, how does watching so many videos online of war and what's happening in Gaza or wherever there's war affect us without us knowing?
Oh, you mean because what's happening is when you're watching traumatic events constantly, right, it's entering your vision, right, and then going into your body. There's a secondary post-traumatic stress. And as human beings, we were not meant to consume all of this. We were not meant to have so much stimulus and input. And so you will have this secondary post-traumatic stress disorder. And that's why I say, be careful, find some balance. I understand we want to stay well-informed. We've got family and friends, whether it's Kuwait or Lebanon or Palestine or wherever it is, and they're getting bombed. And we want to watch to try and control, like, okay, let's make sure it's not them. And all I'm encouraging you to do is give your body some balance, a little bit of respite, because the constant imagery, and you're not giving your nervous system time to regulate, you want to be careful with that, especially before you sleep. Because becoming so informed, you're going to overwhelm an already overactivated nervous system. We're already at maximum, already. Before, we've been at maximum. Now you're going to add more. So only you can understand that for yourselves. Does my media consumption leave me informed, or does it destabilize me? I know when all this happened, I was doom scrolling and I went down that rabbit hole and I found my nervous system. I was becoming increasingly paranoid. I said, uh-oh, this is feeling very unsettling. And I had to stop myself and say, okay, Tiff, what can you control right now in this moment? You can control putting the phone down. You're going to stay up all night, which is not going to serve your clients the next day, right? And you want to avoid the graphic footage. That's why it's important to have these trigger warnings, because that could be so shocking to the system. And we may not be ready for all of that. So to answer your question, because you're doom scrolling, so you're not even aware of what's happening to your body. Okay. You need to be really careful with that.
Yeah, thank you for answering that. I think it's very important to really pay attention to how much we consume from it, because as you said, especially before sleep, like.
Yeah, and I've seen a lot of videos where people saying, well, we should stay informed. Yes, absolutely stay informed. Do what's going to help ground you. All I'm suggesting here is create a little bit more awareness around your body. Create a little bit more, is this helping me or is this destabilizing me? And if it's destabilizing you, give yourself permission to take a step back and say, what can I do to give myself? Because all of us who maybe, if you're not eating because you feel guilty for eating food, you're not in your joy, you feel bad for having fun. Do you think the people in these do you think that they want you to starve? How is you starving yourself, harming yourself, getting yourself sick, helping everyone abroad? Especially those of us. What was that word, Mira, in Arabic you told me earlier about how the Arab, how they view American?
متغنجين, spoiled.
We are spoiled. Oh, I'm sorry. You're going to starve yourself from your oat milk latte? Like, what? What are we doing here? How is that going to help the people for Gaza if you're starving yourself? It's not, because if we're all attached at the roots, it is in our strength and in our empowerment that the people abroad will feel that. We are all deeply spiritually connected. It doesn't matter the religion. It doesn't, all this divide and all this thing that they want us to keep us down, all of us united as one. The roots strengthens who we are. So how do we anchor ourselves in meaningful action? Meaningful action. Even small restorative psychological, like supporting humanitarian organizations, maybe educating yourself responsibly, creating spaces for dialogue, healthy dialogue, helping individuals in tangible ways, maybe supporting a family. Action does not need to be global to be meaningful. Okay. So it's what's one action you can take that aligns with your values to help empower you during those times. And sometimes it's one small act. One thing that's important for all of us to remember is that we cannot carry the suffering of millions of people and remain emotionally healthy. Empathy without boundaries becomes self-destructive. And that's really what I'm seeing, is that there's this self-destruction that's happening because healthy compassion requires feeling deeply, caring sincerely, but refusing to collapse under the weight of the world. Do you guys hear that? If you took moments to meaning the basics, take care of your body first. Okay? Let's just start there. Start small. And then you wonder, yes, somebody asked a question about chronic illness, watching the news. Yes, it leads to chronic illness, depression, hopelessness, post-war nightmares and trauma. Can you give yourself permission to go get that help? Because with that level of trauma, you're going to need more support than a 3-minute TikTok video. It's about processing with a trained person to be able to give you the daily grounding practices. If your trauma is so severe, it's about getting the help that you need. Now, it's not lost on me. Therapy did not help you. You want to ask yourself, was it the right fit of the therapist? Was it the right treatment modality? Was the therapeutic approach what you needed? So when Arab tell me therapy didn't help, were there other factors involved? Because many times we think that therapy is this panacea, yet are you actively engaging in the therapy? If it didn't work for you, and I'm sorry I'm calling you out, that might be because you may not have been ready to do the work. I'm sorry to be so direct. And again, therapy is only one modality. Maybe you heal through dance. Maybe you heal through art. Maybe you heal in community service. There are so many different ways to heal. But when Arab try and minimize, therapy doesn't work, well, there could be lots of reasons for that. But to negate that how much it helps people, I'm not buying that. Because I've seen the power of therapy, not only in my own life, but in the lives of the people around me. Okay. So one daily practice that you can do is using the breath to create. How do you create safety? Really, during these times of war, it's about how do I create safety within myself? Now, if you're in a family situation where you're not feeling safe, okay, where you're not feeling safe, and you have all these external events happening that are unsafe, and you're in a household that feels unsafe, and you wonder why you're having a hard time coping, just name that. Because until we can make our homes safe, or who you surround yourself with, the people around you need to be safe. So how do you take accountability for creating that safety for you? And that may mean minimizing contact with certain people. That may mean making difficult decisions in how much work you're doing. You may need to slow down. And for those that are depressed, you may need to get up. So first, you want to name what you're feeling. What am I feeling right now? And then what's one small step I can take to empower myself to feel just a little bit better? And reconnect with something that's meaningful to you. You want to keep your nervous system from staying trapped in this collective crisis. Again, you can have healthy empathy. Yet me breaking down and falling apart is not helping anyone. And you ask yourself the same thing. I think Muhammad, he wrote, we need to protect our energy. You better believe it. We are alone. As a Arab, we are alone. When are we going to start taking care of ourselves? When are we going to acknowledge that our feelings are important? When are we going to stop putting each other down for our feelings? Or the oppression Olympics that we do. They're worse off than Hadol and we're this and that. No. We are all suffering collectively. Yes, there are others here in the United States. Am I suffering emotionally? Yeah. I will never compare myself to what's happening. Yet it's my responsibility and my accountability as Bint Arab to stand up and say, me being able to offer service is how I'm going to empower myself and our people. What is it in your life that you can do? I don't know. We need to come up with a solution, mabad, because what's happening is not going to help future generations. What we're doing is the ways of dealing with war in the past, it's not working anymore. The younger generation is pushing up against it. Thank you, younger generation. Okay. So I'm going to end the live with a final reflection. How can I remain compassionate without losing my psychological stability? How can I empower myself in my life to move me closer to my psychological stability? And that may be connecting more, staying in a quiet place, connecting to the God of your heart. Okay. We are all going to get through this together. And if we continue to put one another down, East versus West, Muslim versus Christian, ish command, one political party versus the next political party, Egyptian versus Yemen, whatever. Our division is endless because that's the power we're giving to other people. When we stay in these divisiveness, that's what the powers at be want. So if someone is putting down somebody from another country or saying something about another religion, maybe one way to empower ourselves is to say, yeah, I'm not going to engage in that. Because we are one Arab people, collectively suffering and grieving decades of harm. And we're going to expect American to save us. We're going to expect some of our governments to save us. We're going to expect our families to save us. No. We need to save ourselves. And the only way we can do that here at Community for International Arab is for us to honor one another, to honor everyone's experience, to not negate somebody's grief, to not put one another down for having feelings in a world that feelings are very, very normal to have, no matter what they are. I want to thank each and every one of you for the respectful conversation, for offering your words, for being a part of this. I do never pretend to have the answers. Never. I have no idea half the time what I'm doing. The only thing that I can offer is that to normalize your psychological responses, to create awareness around your hypervigilance or anxiety or survivor's guilt or rage, whatever it is you're feeling, to say this is normal. But what's happening in our world is not normal. And how can you, on a bodily level, ensure that steadiness within you? And how can we as a family support each other? Maybe there's something that you can do to be of service, because our powerlessness is not uselessness. We can transform our grief to uplifting one another. So I want to thank you. Nawar, the light in me sees the light in you. Our light never, ever goes out. No matter how much the world tries to suppress our light, they will never be able to do that unless we allow them to. And let's not suppress that light within each other. Praying for peace. Praying that all those in the world, that they're suffering, may end. It's time that we all come together to raise our consciousness. We need to stop the war within ourselves, the war within our families. And that only begins by feeling our feelings, acknowledging them, and transforming them. I pray for each and every one of you and your families for protection, for a better world. Okay. Thank you for holding space for me. It's been hard. It's been very hard.
Thank you. Thank you for everything. Thank you for this great, insightful information. Thank you for speaking from your heart. I know that everything you said from your heart reaches the hearts of people that cares and that wants to heal and understand and feel. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, we'll end with next week on Wadih Wednesday, we will continue this discussion. We will continue on more ways to empower ourselves, okay? We will discuss more ways, more helpful ways. Virtual hugs back to each and every one of you. I wish you all the very best, no matter where you are in the world. And let us continue to be the world that we want to see. Have a good one, everybody. Take care.